The more you try to get rid of anxiety, the worse the anxiety loop gets. And there's a very specific reason for that. You went to the doctor, you got the diagnosis, and then you tried all the things, but anxiety keeps coming back. And maybe it's even worse than when it first started. Maybe you're even at that stage where you can't even say why you're anxious anymore. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what is happening, and it's got nothing to do with the severity of anxiety or how hard you're trying. My name is Diante Fuchs. I'm a clinical psychologist and the founder of the Unstuck Initiative, and I've worked with people for over a decade that are stuck with anxiety. People who have tried everything and still can't break free. If that's you, you're in the right place. Let's dive into it. So here's what I see most of the time. People who have their first anxiety episode, they go to the doctor because they're feeling really uncomfortable. Those anxiety symptoms are painful. You get tightness of chest, you can't breathe properly, heart palpitations, lots of aches and pains in your body. And let's face it, the anxiety symptoms are vast and varied. So most people will end up at their doctor for the first time. And that doctor is going to do all of their tests and examinations, and they're going to find probably that there's actually nothing physically wrong with you, which is where you get your first diagnosis. It's just anxiety. Those are probably some of the worst words that people can hear, because what it does is it lands up making anxiety the problem. You now have an anxiety disorder or a mental illness. So the doctor then gives you treatment, gives you some tablets, refers you to a psychologist, asks you to do some CBT or some mindfulness, and all of these things are in an attempt to make that anxiety go away. And of course, you're going to go try them because you're a good patient, right? But then you find that no matter what you try, that anxiety still stays stuck. In fact, it keeps coming back. And in many cases, it gets worse as we go. Eventually, most people who start working with me will say that they can't even say why they are anxious anymore. Well, here's what's really happening. When your doctor diagnoses you with an anxiety disorder, you immediately go, "What? I don't want a mental illness." It makes it feel like there's something wrong with you. So all these aches and pains and crazy symptoms that you're experiencing are a sign that there is a problem, and we become afraid of that. The very thought that you might be mentally ill or going crazy, and let's face it, there's huge stigma attached to mental illnesses and mental health. We are going to start feeling afraid of the way that we're feeling. And that right there is the beginning of the anxiety loop. Plus, it's really uncomfortable to have anxiety symptoms, right? There's nothing fun about heart palpitations, tightness of chest, breathing difficulties, your ears that are blocked, the tingling sensations. I mean, I can run through a list of anxiety symptoms. In fact, I'm just going to link one down below so that you can see how many symptoms are related to anxiety. Just click the link below. It'll be there for you. The point is that anxiety symptoms feel really uncomfortable, and in many cases, they actually feel a bit scary. So then we start to feel afraid of the physical symptoms as well as the emotional difficulty that we're struggling with. Anxiety also feels uncomfortable. Aside from all the symptoms, we also have the emotional state that doesn't feel good. And let's face it, nowadays, most people don't really know what to do with uncomfortable feelings. We just feel yuck, and then we want to do something to make that go away. Take that tablet, take that Xanax, grab that glass of wine, smoke that marijuana joint, do whatever it takes to feel better. We don't really know how to sit with and be with uncomfortable emotions. So that fear of the fear is what's driving our anxiety. Now, if this is making sense, be sure to hit subscribe, because every single week I'm going to be loading up a new video to show you a new perspective on anxiety so that you can break free. Okay, so now we're getting stuck in the fear of fear loop. When we're feeling afraid of the anxiety, we're also generating more of those anxiety symptoms that we've become afraid of. Most people also get stuck because they're worried about what the anxiety is going to do to them. Maybe you'll resonate. We start to believe that we're going to go crazy, that the more anxious we feel or the bigger the panic attack that we have, the more likely it is that we're going to completely lose our mind. Most of the clients that I work with are terrified that at some stage, someone's going to pop by, wrap them in a straitjacket, and ship them off to the nearest psychiatric institute when they become really anxious. Other people are really worried that they're going to lose control, that they're going to do something in public that they completely will regret, that'll be super embarrassing, and maybe land up on the next viral TikTok video. Other people are terrified of what the anxiety is doing to their body. They're afraid that it's causing health conditions, that that panic attack might land up in a heart attack, and they're just generally afraid of the health that they're experiencing when they're anxious. And the last thing that people are terrified of is passing out or losing control. I've even had people tell me that they're afraid that they'll stop speaking or stop being able to speak English because they're so anxious. So the very fear of the feeling is generating more anxiety. Can you see that the reason why we're stuck in anxiety is because we're feeling anxious about the feeling of anxiety? Now, when we're feeling this way, we deepen that loop because the more terrified we feel, the more we want to get rid of it. So now we're going to try all the strategies. This is where most people will end up, scrolling on social media to try and find more strategies that are going to help them regulate their nervous system, get rid of anxiety. They're hanging out on all those social media support groups, asking other people about medications, and they're wondering about what will work for their anxiety, because all they're trying to do is find the next best strategy that's going to make this feeling go away. Can you see why the more desperate you feel to be rid of that anxiety, the more fear of it you're creating? It's really just deepening that spiral. Ideally, we want to stop trying to get rid of it. The key here is to understand that anxiety is just a normal feeling. It's as real and valid as your sadness, your anger, your joy, your excitement. And even though we can sometimes feel uncomfortable emotions like sadness or anger or grief, we don't desperately try to get rid of those states. We know that it's okay to feel them, and we process through them. And if you can think about the last time that you felt something really uncomfortable, when you just sat with that and let it happen, that feeling came down naturally. Most of us are not just going to stay there in the state of anger or crying, ongoing, unconditionally, until somebody comes and stops us from feeling that. 99% of the time, if you just let yourself cry, your tears dry up. Now, your anxiety is going to do the exact same. If we just let it be there and then let it process, it eventually will habituate. Another word for saying it's going to come down. But what we land up doing is that we just layer anxiety on top of anxiety. We feel it, we become afraid of it, we feel more of it because we're afraid of it, and so that building just grows. That's the anxiety loop. And that is the number one reason why your anxiety won't go away. So if we can agree that the fear that we have of the anxiety is the very thing that's keeping it stuck, then obviously if we want to get it unstuck, we need to change our response to anxiety. The best way that we can stop the anxiety loop is by changing what we're doing and how we're responding to that feeling. So if this video has helped you to understand why you're stuck in an anxiety loop, be sure to hit subscribe. Every week, I'm going to be releasing a new video to show you how anxiety gets stuck, stays stuck, and also what you need to do to be able to break free of that and feel yourself again.